This is a warning to all you Filipinas who get involved with Americans with small children and vindictive or slightly psychotic ex wives. Make sure you protect yourself and you know what to do. Hi, Filipino wife abroad here. What's the most dreaded three letters for any American family? If you guessed IRS, you would be wrong. It's CPS, also known as Child Protective Services. The mere mention of this acronym sends terror into the hearts of most parents. This agency can take away your children at any moment without due process or due diligence. They're absolutely necessary and horrifying at the same time. Today's story familiar to most American families, regardless of their ethnicity or social status. It involves the weaponization of CPS to inflict maximum pain to a newly wedded couple. So, guys, let's begin. As is very common in the US, a 30 something man and his wife had a pair of young daughters, and after 10 years of their marriage, the wife wanted a divorce. She's missing the single life and believed she needed more in her life than her boring husband could deliver. The husband was devastated but did his best to make the process go smoothly for the sake of his daughters. The couple agreed to share custody of their young daughters and made arrangements to live close to one another to not be disruptive to the kids' lives. Now, the pair stayed friendly and they would often go to school functions, sports, and other children's activities together. The ex wife dated many men after the divorce, but never had another long term relationship, while the men didn't date anyone for several years, but eventually met and married a 30-year-old Filipina who'd been petitioned by her parents a few years earlier. Now, the Filipina did her best to be a good stepmother, but as expected, initially there was friction between her and the stepchildren. But after a few months, the children came to accept the Filipina as part of the family, and she joined the American and his ex wife at many of the children's functions or activities. The ex wife tolerated this and didn't show any signs of disapproval. She even told people that the Filipina was kind to her children and she was happy that the Filipina was in her children's lives. Now, fast forward another couple of years, and the Filipina had become pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. This is when things changed very rapidly in the relationship with the ex wife. After the baby had been home for a few weeks, there came a knock on the door. The CPS or the Child Protective Services. They received a report that the newborn baby was not being taken care of properly and requested a wellness check on the child to make sure everything was okay. The CPS did not tell them who made the report and didn't give the couple any details. The CPS reviewed the child's living conditions, talked to the child's doctor, and interviewed both parents. Both parents were shocked that someone would have thought there was a problem at a house. Another couple of months went by, and the Child Protective Services came back and said they get another report that they were abusing the baby. Once again, they talked to the child's doctor, looked over the living conditions, and talked to both parents. At this time, it looked like the report was malicious and they found no indication of abuse. It became obvious that somebody had a grudge against the family and was trying to make their life difficult. Another few months went by and the Child Protective Services came back to their house, but this time there's a police officer with them. They were there to investigate a claim by the ex wife that the Filipina had been abusing the stepdaughters when they were staying at their house. Finally, it made sense to this couple that the ex wife was the one calling the Child Protective Services. The police and the CPS took statements, reviewed the living conditions, and told them they were also going to be interviewing the children and the stepmother. The couple proceeded to get lawyers so they could be prepared for whatever might happen with CPS or the police investigation. At the same time, the ex wife petitioned the court to have the joint custody agreement with her ex husband suspended and for her to have a sole custody of the children using the justification that the CPS investigations proved that the couple were unfit parents. A family court judge had a hearing to determine custody, at which time the judge independently talked to the two daughters. And after a couple of minutes of discussion with the judge explaining how lying in the court is a horrible thing, the daughters explained that it was their mother's idea to claim that the girls were being abused and that their stepmother had never been anything but nice to them. The judge then talked to the CPS agent who had investigated the situation, and the agent told him that she had found nothing nefarious and that the Filipina and her husband appear to be good parents. The police officer also indicated that he believed there may be a case to be made that the ex wife had falsely reported the family. Now, the judge ruled that the joint custody would continue unless the husband wanted to file for the sole custody. But the husband still didn't want to take away the children from their mother and told the judge that what he really wanted was to have his ex wife stop harassing his family. Now, the judge recommended this couple to get a restraining order against the ex wife, and any future exchanges between the parents should be done under court supervision to avoid weaponization of the judicial system. The Filipina and her husband obtained the restraining orders against the ex wife, and they remain in place to this day. The CPS has not been called back to the house, and now only the husband and the Filipina can attend the activities for the children due to the distance requirements associated with the restraining order. Why did the ex wife create such havoc for the family? Why would she be so vindictive to the Filipina, particularly when you consider there is a newborn baby in the house? What would she have to gain from causing so much disruption in everyone's lives? Well, according to the ex wife's mother, who's still on friendly terms with her former son in law, she said that the children's mother was extremely jealous of her husband's new life. The woman believed that the Filipina had stolen her husband and had stolen her life. The mother in law apologized to her former son in law, saying that she didn't understand how her daughter could feel this way, particularly considering that she initiated a divorce and she was the one who dated excessively. The mother in law said that her daughter seemed to have a strong emotional reaction when the Filipina had her baby. The ex wife suddenly realized that now she was in her 40s and she had limited options to having future children. And even if she wanted to have future children, she knew that her ex husband was a better father than any of the men she dated since the divorce. The baby's birth triggered the ex wife in trying to break up the couple or made it so difficult upon them that she wouldn't have to watch their happiness up close. This may seem like a soap opera, guys, but the reality is that this is happening every day in the US. For whatever reason, former spouses have the tendency to become very jealous when their ex-spouse finds new relationship, shows happiness, or has additional children. Divorce is a common in the US that very few eligible men in their 40s do not have ex-spouses. The ex-spouses can cause great trouble, and one of their favorite methods is involving child protective services. So this is a warning to all you Filipinas who get involved with Americans with small children and vindictive or slightly psychotic ex-wives. make sure you protect yourself and you know what to do when the Child Protective Services comes knocking at your door. I also strongly recommend that you being always pleasant and polite to try and minimize any vindictive behavior on their part. This is one of those cases where you just want to take whatever abuse they might give and swallow your pride versus trying to deal with the legal system and protecting your children and yourself. Well, if worst comes to worst, I'd also make sure you have a good lawyer. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's story. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already done so, and I'll be back again next week with another interesting video. Bye.